Okay, so get this. Today, we're diving into some predictions about Solana that are pretty wild to think about.
Really? Like what?
So we're talking about the possibility of Solana, like, actually maybe surpassing Ethereum.
Wow.
And maybe even Bitcoin.
Whoa, okay, hold on. That's a pretty bold statement. I mean, those are some heavy hitters in the crypto world. What makes anyone think Solana could actually pull that off?
That is the million-dollar question, right? And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. We've got research, expert opinions, market analysis, trading strategies, all about Solana.
Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us. So where do we even begin with a prediction this big? Is it just hype, or is there something more to it?
Well, it's definitely not just hype. We're seeing some really interesting data that suggests Solana is on a pretty impressive trajectory. Like in some key areas, Solana is already going head-to-head with Ethereum.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What areas are we talking about specifically?
We're talking like the nuts and bolts of what makes a blockchain network hum. Things like how much activity is happening on decentralized exchanges, the trading volume.
Right. DEXs are a good indicator of overall interest and adoption. So how does Solana stack up there?
Well, get this. In some cases, Solana's DEXs are seeing trading volumes that are either right on par with Ethereum's or even surpassing them.
Wow, okay, that's significant. High trading volume on DEXs usually means there's a lot of user engagement and trust in the network.
Exactly. And it's not just about the numbers. People are saying that Solana's user experience is just way smoother and more intuitive than what Ethereum currently offers. Plus, those gas fees on Ethereum, they can be a real drag.
Yeah, no argument there. Solana's known for its super low transaction fees. It makes a big difference, especially for frequent traders or anyone moving smaller amounts of crypto. But we do have to remember that Ethereum's not just sitting still. They're working on those layer 2 solutions to address the speed and cost issues.
Right, those layer 2s are like a whole other layer of complexity to this comparison.
Totally. It's not always a simple apples-to-apples situation.
True. But even with the layer 2s, Solana's still making some serious waves. And this is where things get really interesting because there's this whole concept of flipping in the crypto world.
Flipping? Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me.
So flipping is basically when one cryptocurrency overtakes another one in terms of market cap, the total value of all the coins out there in circulation.
Right. Essentially, it's about who's the biggest fish in the pond at any given moment.
Exactly. And some people believe that Solana could actually flip Ethereum in the future. Can you imagine that?
That is a bold prediction. We're talking about completely changing the hierarchy of the crypto market. I mean, Ethereum's been the leading smart contract platform for years. To think that Solana could dethrone it.
It's a long shot, I'll admit, but even the possibility is making people pay attention.
I can see why. So what's driving this prediction? Is it just wishful thinking, or are there concrete reasons to believe it could happen?
There are actually a few key factors that are fueling this Solana hype train, and one of them is this really cool tech thing called token extensions.
Okay, token extensions. I've heard the term thrown around, but to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on what it actually means. It sounds kind of technical.
Yeah, it's a little bit in the weeds, but it's actually pretty simple. Think of token extensions like giving superpowers to digital assets. It's like with Solana, you can create tokens that don't just represent value, they can actually do things automatically.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Give me an example.
Sure. So imagine a token that automatically earns interest, pays out dividends, or even represents a real-world asset like a piece of real estate. Token extensions make all of that possible. It's like having a Swiss Army knife of financial instruments all rolled into one token.
Ah, I see. It's like taking the concept of smart contracts to a whole new level. Instead of just automating agreements, you're automating the assets themselves. That's huge.
Exactly. And big players are starting to take notice. PayPal. They chose Solana to launch their very own stablecoin, PUSD.
Wait, really? PayPal chose Solana. Why Solana specifically?
They needed a blockchain that could handle the complexity of a global stablecoin, one that could scale to millions of users. And Solana, with those token extensions, provided the perfect solution. It was a big win for Solana.
Huge. When a giant like PayPal gets on board, people pay attention. It's a major signal that Solana is a serious player in the blockchain space.
For sure. And there's more. There's this big upgrade on the horizon called Fire Dancer. It's being developed by Jump Trading. They're a big deal in high-frequency trading.
I've heard of Jump Trading.
Yeah.
They're known for their cutting-edge tech. What's so special about Fire Dancer?
This upgrade is designed to make Solana even faster and more scalable than it already is. We're talking about handling potentially millions of transactions every second.
Wow. Millions. Okay, that's next-level stuff. How's that even possible?
This is where it gets really cool. Remember how we talked about Solana's ability to leverage hardware advancements? Well, Firedancer takes that to a whole new level. It's built to tap into the massive growth in computing power, all the stuff happening with AI and big data. Firedancer is designed to ride that wave of technological advancement.
So as the hardware for AI and all these other fields gets more powerful, Solana gets faster and more efficient. It's like a built-in growth mechanism.
Exactly. It's like Solana's designed not just for where blockchain technology is today, but where it's headed in the future. Okay, so we've got Solana racking up some impressive wins in the tech department and attracting some big names, but there's this whole other layer to this Solana story that I think we need to dig into. All that talk about a bull market and an altcoin season, it all sounds a bit like Wall Street jargon to me, to be honest.
Well, yeah, those terms get thrown around a lot, but they're actually pretty simple concepts. Think of the crypto market like a giant marketplace. You've got Bitcoin, right? It's like the big anchor store. Everyone knows it. Everyone's talking about it.
Bitcoin dominance, right. We've talked about that before.
Exactly. So that's Bitcoin dominance.
Yeah.
But then you've got all these other stalls in the market selling all sorts of interesting stuff. Those are your altcoins, your alternative cryptocurrencies. Now, sometimes the shoppers in this market, they get a little adventurous and they start exploring those smaller stalls looking for the next hidden gem.
And that's when altcoin season kicks in.
Bingo. Altcoin season is when those alternative cryptocurrencies start to see some real price action. And when the entire marketplace is buzzing, when everyone's feeling optimistic and throwing money at anything that moves, well, that's a bull market.
So basically, altcoin season is like a party within the bigger crypto party.
That's a great way to put it. And right now, a lot of analysts believe that a major bull market is brewing, maybe as early as 2025.
So if that happens and Bitcoin decides to share the spotlight, Solana could be in a prime position to benefit.
Exactly. Historically, when we've seen these big bull markets, Bitcoin dominance tends to decrease a bit, which creates this perfect window for altcoins to surge.
It's like a changing of the guard. The underdogs finally get their moment to shine.
Precisely. And with Solana's strong fundamentals and growing ecosystem, it could be one of the biggest winners if this scenario plays out.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting because we actually have some real-world examples of how traders are already positioning themselves for this potential Solana surge.
Oh, yeah. What are they doing?
So we came across this trader. Let's call him Sam. Sam's using a platform called Marks, and he's using his Solana holdings as collateral.
Okay, interesting. So he's basically using his Solana to make bigger bets on something else. What's he betting on?
He's betting on Bitcoin.
Well, hold on. So he's using Solana, which is supposed to outperform Bitcoin, to bet on Bitcoin. That sounds a little counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It does, but here's the thing. Sam's strategy hinges on this idea of Bitcoin dominance decreasing. He's essentially trying to double dip on the potential gains. If Bitcoin goes up, his initial investment benefits, but if Solana rises in value at the same time as collateral, the Solana he used to back his bet, that increases in value too.
So he's like playing both sides of the field, betting on Bitcoin to go up in the short term, but also betting on Solana to outperform it in the long run.
Exactly. It's a clever strategy, but like all things crypto, it comes with risks.
Big time. Leveraging your investments like that can amplify your gains, but it can also magnify your losses.
Exactly. Which is why we always, always, always have to emphasize responsible investing. Do your own research, understand the risks, and never, never, never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Couldn't agree more. Investing in crypto is not for the faint of heart. But hey, speaking of making predictions and analyzing the market, we have to talk about Raoul Pal.
Ah, yes, Raoul Pal, the macro maestro himself. He seems pretty bullish on Solana too, right?
Super bullish. He's been tracking Solana's price movements against Bitcoin. And guess what? He spotted a classic bullish chart pattern. An inverse head and shoulders.
An inverse head and shoulders. That sounds more like something you'd hear in an anatomy class than a financial podcast.
It does, doesn't it? But in the world of technical analysis, chart patterns are like those treasure maps that supposedly lead to buried gold.
Okay, so walk me through this treasure map. What does an inverse head and shoulders actually tell us?
So picture this. You've got a chart with 3 dips. The middle dip is the head. It's the lowest point. The 2 dips on either side, those are the shoulders. Now, when this pattern is flipped upside down like it is with Solana right now, it can signal a potential reversal in the trend, like a shift from sellers to buyers.
So this pattern is basically a big neon sign flashing buy Solana.
Well, it's not quite that simple, but it's definitely a positive sign. And Pal's not just relying on one chart pattern. He's also pointed out that Solana recently flipped a diagonal resistance level into support.
Hold on. Too many technical terms at once. Flipped a resistance level. What in the world does that mean?
Okay, so imagine you're looking at a chart again. A resistance level is like a ceiling that the price keeps bumping up against. It's a level where there are a lot of sellers preventing the price from going higher. But sometimes the price breaks through that ceiling, and what was once resistance becomes support.
Meaning?
What used to be a ceiling becomes a floor. It's like the price is building a staircase upwards.
I think I'm starting to get it. So this flipping thing is another good sign for Solana.
Exactly. It suggests that the upward momentum could continue.
And to top it all off, Pal has a specific price target for Solana. $265. Well, let's just say if he's right, some people are going to be very, very happy.
No doubt about it. But remember, these are just predictions. The crypto market is notoriously volatile and unpredictable. Even the experts get it wrong sometimes. It is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you're right about the unpredictability. Even with these bullish predictions, we got to stay grounded. Solana's got its work cut out for it. Yeah. There are definitely challenges ahead.
So let's talk about those challenges. What could potentially derail Solana even if it manages to overcome Ethereum? What are the big what-ifs that are keeping the experts up at night?
Well, one of the biggest questions is whether Solana can keep attracting top-tier developers. You know, those coding wizards who build all the cool applications that make a blockchain platform useful.
Right, because a blockchain without any apps is kind of like a smartphone without an app store. It's not going to be very exciting.
Exactly. Solana needs to become the go-to platform for developers who want to build the next generation of decentralized applications. If they can't attract that talent well, that could put a damper on things.
So basically, it's a battle for the brightest minds in the blockchain space.
And in a nutshell, yeah. And then there's the issue of scalability, which we touched on earlier. Even with these upgrades like FireDancer, can Solana handle the kind of transaction volume we're talking about? Millions and millions of transactions happening every second without breaking a sweat.
It's like building a car that can go really, really fast. But can it handle going that fast in rush hour traffic when it's surrounded by millions of other cars?
That's a great analogy. Solana needs to prove it can handle the load without sacrificing speed or security. That's a tall order for any blockchain, even one as advanced as Solana.
And on top of all that, there's the whole security aspect, right? We hear about hacks and exploits all the time in the crypto world. How can Solana ensure that it remains a secure platform, especially as it attracts more users and more value?
Security is paramount, absolutely. And it's an ongoing challenge, especially in a decentralized environment where you don't have a central authority controlling everything. Solana's team is very aware of this, and they're constantly working on improving security, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
It's like walking a tightrope, isn't it? You've got to innovate and grow, but you can't afford to sacrifice security for a single moment.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the regulatory landscape, which is like this constantly shifting maze that crypto projects have to navigate. Governments around the world are still trying to figure out how to regulate this whole space, and new rules could pop up that create all sorts of hurdles for Solana.
It's a global game, isn't it? Solana's not just competing with other blockchains, it's also dealing with governments and regulators all over the world, each with their own agendas.
It's a wild ride, to say the least.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are definitely challenges ahead for Solana, but even with all that uncertainty, there's still a sense of excitement, a feeling that we're witnessing something truly groundbreaking.
Absolutely, and I think that's a good note to end on. Even with the risks and uncertainties, there's no denying that cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology are pushing the boundaries of what's possible. It's an exciting time to be paying attention. So to our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never stop learning. The future of finance is being written right before our eyes. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, Solana will be a big part of that story.
Here's to an exciting future.
Cheers to that. And with that, we wrap up another deep dive. Thanks for joining us, everyone.